Welcome to Leadership and Loyalty Tips for Executives. I'm here with 3 millennials who are part of Kairos. They'll tell us a little bit about Kairos, but particularly tell us about millennials and what it is that keeps them loyal. So let me introduce you to them. As you can see, we have Harry over here.
Hello.
We have
Alex.
And Daniel.
Pleasure.
Okay, so guys, one of the things that we've been talking about a little bit about is how difficult it is for organizations to keep millennials involved. Back when I was going out into the workforce, we were looking for jobs for 20 years, 30 years, 40-year careers. You guys are not looking for that. When I say you guys, not you personally, but millennials are not looking for that. So, tell us first of all, what is do you work for yourself, Harry?
Yeah, I do. So I'm working on a startup that does wearable technology for diabetes management. And the interesting thing there, I mean, at the end of the day, what keeps me motivated is we're solving something that's impactful at the end of the day. Where we're solving a very tough technical problem, but at the same time, it has the power to impact millions of people.
So why didn't you go work for somebody else? I mean, you're 21.
Yeah, that's right. So at the end of the day, I actually had an offer from IBM. I ended up rejecting that to start working on my own company. And the reason is ownership. At the end of the day, I want to take responsibility for my actions. And a big company like IBM is always going to stay. Whereas this opportunity for working on a startup, working on something that's my own, doesn't come that often. And it was a matter of timing. And that's what made me choose one over the other.
Okay. What about you, Alex?
My first job was for a big company. I think the millennials need to see a high ceiling, and they need to feel trusted to take on large amounts of responsibility. I had a great job, it was fun, but once I stopped learning and once they stopped caring about my career trajectory, I left.
How long were you with them?
2 years.
2 years. And you're 23 now.
I'm 25.
25.
I have a grandpa.
You're the old guy.
I'm the old millennial.
He's the old guy. So you've got your own company now?
Yeah, I run it.
What do you get? Tell us a little bit about your company.
We are a company that supports early stage entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs like these guys. So I think in terms of the conversation we're having, we work with hundreds of millennials, and the reason why they do it, I think, is they want to be put in a position to solve problems. So I don't think you're going to find a lot of big companies retaining millennials unless they give them a lot of responsibility and enough autonomy to challenge themselves and grow and understand the output of the work they're putting in.
Okay. So what about you, Daniel? Do you have you worked for anybody, or you have your own company? Or?
In college, I held several internships. I worked for 2 very large investment banks, worked for a Big 4 accounting company, and did that in conjunction with co-founding my company. So more or less during the daytimes, I would go work, accumulate those funds, start saving money, and start allocating them to my company to help my company grow and help seed fund my company from the get-go. Leaving school, though, it was very important to secure the appropriate amount of funding so that we don't take a big salary, my partner and I, but so that we can survive, and follow through with our company, and that's Cortex Composites.
So what do you guys do?
Sure. So what we did is we developed a rollable concrete product. More or less, we designed a product that was literally 1/3 of the cost of using regular cement. It's prefabricated. It's literally as simple as unroll it, secure it, hydrate it, and it solidifies in that state. And we're attacking big markets. For example, oil and mining, like the oil liners for tar pits, pavements, bridges. And it's so sad. In the U.S., we have the worst bridging. We have the highest deterioration rate, and we're not attacking that because construction and capital costs are so high. So what we're doing is bringing it low, requiring less laborers, but keeping our infrastructure at its highest and also helping foreign countries grow their infrastructure as well.
So for you guys, you're all gone out on your own. You've all done your own thing at an incredibly young age. And one of the things you were saying, Alex, is that for you to stay loyal, you guys want responsibility, you want authority, you want a level of autonomy. And this is one of the things that I've been speaking about, saying that one of the reasons companies can't keep millennials is because you're not motivated by the same things. And Generation Xers and baby boomers were very much motivated by the corner office and a nice big salary. Tell us, do you guys give a shit about a corner office?
See, at the end of the day, I mean, we've seen so many transformations over the industry where 20 or even 30 years ago, if you had a degree, you had a job that was well paid, and you wanted security. Now security is so rare, so very hard to find, that it's not a commodity for people like us. We're going to go out and do something that's meaningful, and if we're doing something and we're successful, or even if we fail, we'll still build the right skills and attributes necessary to go into those industries when necessary.
Right.
Dov, I would argue that we do have our own corner office. The only difference is it's not in a tall glass building, it's our garage.
Right.
And so when we started our product, the first prototype was developed in the garage. And to be honest, it's a lot more meaningful when it's yours and you're developing something from scratch and you're attacking a big issue. We have a lot of counterparts and friends working for applications and software companies, and it's totally different when you're working for a tangible product like carrying myself, something that you could feel, touch, and know that you're going to have a serious impact on the world, the way that we as people interact with it and the environment. And it's a lot more tangible, and there's an additional value. It's not just the salary and security, but it's also fulfillment that we're getting that I don't think you could achieve, and I didn't achieve in my internships by any means.
See, one of the things I've been talking a lot about with companies and organizations is that they can't keep millennials, and they certainly can't keep them loyal if they're going to motivate them with the same things as they tried to motivate a previous generation. And so I'm going to tell you what I'm telling them, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. All right? Here's what I'm saying. You guys are not motivated particularly by money. Money's important, but it's not as important as it was to the previous generation. You're motivated primarily by meaning. That you want what you're doing to have meaning to you. And if you're going to be involved in an organization, that you have to be tied to the meaning of that organization. Am I on so far? Not only that, you want a level of autonomy. If you're going to work inside a company, that you want to know that you're autonomous. You want a level of mastery in whatever it is you want to be able to, as you were saying earlier, keep learning, keep growing, keep developing, and you'll take on the responsibility with that. Am I on so far?
I would say people I think there's a misconception that we have a sense of entitlement, which is all of a sudden
it's the number one complaint about millennials, right?
CEOs, right? It's more about, the trust needs to be two-way. You need to trust the millennial to go complete a project and then keep raising the ceiling, right? So I don't think any millennial expects to be CMO upon entry. They expect to be trusted to achieve measurable results. And then when the results are achieved, the trust continues to be established and the autonomy is grown.
So the argument around that is this. Again, from a previous generation. So the argument was this. Well, how can we trust you? You don't have any experience. The other guys paid their dues. They did 30 years to get their dues.
Absolutely, and I get you on that. We hire interns now, ironically, and the interesting thing there is, yes, you'll get people from all the broad spectrum. You'll get someone who's not so good, and you'll get someone who's very, very good at what they do. But at the end of the day, it does come down to trust to get that meaningful outcome. Whether it's to get that meaningful outcome out of someone who's very, very good, you still have to trust them, and you wouldn't know if they're very good unless you didn't give them the responsibility and autonomy to do so. That's one. The second part is, at the end of the day, millennials are we're very much the same people, even though there's this generation gap that we're always talking about.
Sure.
We're, at the end of the day, motivated, yes, by meaning, but at the end of the day, it comes down to really understanding what the differences are, and really taking that to heart when it comes to working for an organization or working for a startup.
Right.
It really depends on person to person.
Yeah.
In regards to experience, what I would say is it's a different time. So 30 years ago, the fact that you had worked for 30 years in an industry was extremely meaningful. Now you can go on YouTube and learn how to do that in 10 minutes. So the problem is it's as small as a bow tie or tying a tie, and it's as large and dangerous as what we recently experienced with Boston and what had occurred. You can literally learn how to make dangerous weapons on YouTube. And the skills and just the information available to us, it's almost dangerous. We can learn how to do many, many things very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And so that experience of being in field is being substituted with the quantity of data and vast information available to us.
Fully agree.
One other thing that I'd out there is something we talked about earlier today, is that difference between naivety and experience. As young people, we're very, very naive, and we're willing to try out very new things that might not make sense and will potentially fail at. But once in a while, that crazy idea might just end up working out.
Right.
That's how the Facebook was born, that's how Twitter was born, that's how Microsoft was born. But that needs that craziness, that needs that irrationality that some experienced people don't have.
I think that the key point, like the role of the C-suite itself, I think is changing. Like the modern CEO to engage with millennials, you have to trust them, you have to listen to them. I think it's not like millennials are not receptive to feedback. They just want, we want to be listened to, and then we want to learn quickly, and then we want to be continually trusted with new projects. I mean, look at the reaction you're getting just by asking us our opinion. Like, we're going to tell you our opinion, and you can say you guys are stupid, but we're going to keep telling you our opinion. We're going to keep trying things until they work.
Right.
So you can either embrace that as a CEO and listen to your people, or you can try to fight an uphill battle and try to preach a system to people who don't want to hear it anymore.
So it's great what you said. What you guys are saying is completely aligned with what I'm actually trying to teach CEOs and C-suite individuals now. There is another question that I want to bring up to you quickly here. So, one of the things that we talked about is the lack of loyalty with millennials, because we're used to a generation where people were down to 8 years, but originally started off looking for a 40-year career. Now millennials, and again, you guys may or may not be aware of this, but the tenure for a millennial is 1.2 years. 1.2 years, you guys are done. Now, the interesting thing about that is, especially what Alex was saying, is we're investing in you, CEOs are investing in you, and the investment of your development and training is 1.5 to 2 times your annual salary. So you've already cost us money when you leave.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're talking a lot about is how do we get you guys to be loyal? And what I'm suggesting is that there's a need for what we call full Monty leadership. And full Monty leadership is the vulnerability, embracing vulnerability, being real, pulling off the mask, getting out of the hierarchy. Tell me what you think about that idea.
I think it's exactly right. It's the only people I know who still work at companies, or the biggest barrier to leaving a company for people I know has been their boss. If they like their boss, if their boss has gotten to know them on a human level, that is how loyalty is bred. Millennials are very loyal to people, but nobody cares about your company or your brand if you don't know the people behind it. So you need to take the time to get to know people at the human level, and if they see that you trust them, and if you see that they care about your career, you're much more likely to stay.
And that really comes down, I'll take that one step further, it comes down to culture and vision at the end of the day. And that's inbred into the people that Alex is talking about. If you have the right culture, you will in turn have the right people, and therefore you'll attract the right type of millennials. It's a domino effect to some extent, and you have to attack the cause of the problem, not the peripherals at this point.
Have you looked at Eventbrite? Eventbrite is like notorious for having a great culture, but I think what's interesting about their culture is it's mostly driven by referrals, to your point.
Yeah.
So it's other millennials that tell their friends, you have to work here, I'm having a great time. So I think millennials also, if you even go back to like the sharing economy stuff, like millennials trust each other, they trust referrals. The best way to keep millennials loyal is to actually be helping them, and then they'll tell their friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been great, guys. Thank you all very much. Please tell us again, squeeze in a little bit, Harry. Tell us
Take
all.
the beer out of it.
Millennials are certainly informal. So tell us again who you are, what you do, and just for the sake of it, tell us how old you are again.
Sure. So my name is Harry. I work on a startup out of Waterloo, Canada. It's called Medella Health. We're building a wearable technology solution that continuously and non-invasively monitors blood glucose levels and communicates that with the mobile phone. And I'm 21.
Fantastic.
I'm Alex, Fiance. I run the Kairos Society. We find promising entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs from all over the world, and help their businesses get to market. I'm 25. I'm a grandpa.
I'm 22. My name is Daniel Rudyak. I co-founded Cortex Composites, and we created a much more cheap and efficient rollable concrete that can be used from something as small as buying it and building out your driveway to something as large as maintenance for bridges and pavements in the U.S. and in emerging countries.
You're how old?
And I'm 22.
22. Thanks, guys. Great job.
Thank you.